Hey friends, good afternoon. Sunday, September 4, 2:30 p.m. here in New York City on the Upper East Side, East River Esplanade, also known as the East River Greenway. We're right by Gracie Mansion. And it is a hot day here in New York City. 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And pretty sunny, so I think we're going to try to find a route with a decent amount of shade. I think we may even go towards Central Park, where it will be cooler. Paul is here. Good to see you, Paul. Good afternoon. I initially thought about doing a ferry ride, but the ferries are totally packed. Totally packed. So the one that arrived at the ferry stop near here, because there are, I forget, at least one or two stops beforehand, it was already full and people weren't getting off, right? They were going to take it all the way to Wall Street or 34th Street, who knows. Lisa's here, my beautiful bride. We are here at Carl Schurz Park. Behind us is Gracie Mansion, which is the mayor's residence. And I was just explaining, I thought about taking a ferry ride downtown, but the one that I saw coming in was completely full. So we will wander the park a little bit, and then we may go to Central Park, which on the plus side, aside from being beautiful, will probably be cooler than it is here. Across the water from us, Roosevelt Island. You can see the Roosevelt Island lighthouse from here. The sound of the water. Whoa, check out those birds flying in formation. So like I said, our first plan kind of, which was to do the ferry, kind of screwed up. So I guess we have two options, and I guess you guys can decide. East Side or Central Park? Let me know. I leave it up to you. Gregory Kelly's here. Gregory, it's so good to see you. We haven't seen you in a little bit. And Lisa, who is the ultimate tiebreaker, has made the decision for us. East Side it is. Adam's here as well. Lots of friendly faces in the chat. Always good to see everybody. Thank you for hopping on. Little dog park over here. Someone brought the tennis balls. Funny. They're so quiet today. No barking. And inspired by Serena Williams. As busy as I've seen it a long time on the courts, although I would call this, it's not tennis, something a little, I guess it's like, I guess they're using a tennis ball, but those are little mini rackets. Maybe somebody can inform me in the chat what I'm looking at. Robert Flynn is here with Angela. 5 short weeks till their New York holiday. Yeah, and we're getting closer and closer to Lisa's due date, which is really blowing my mind. In fact, we did a baby shower yesterday. She wore her mama bear sash. That was really fun. Got to see lots of family. Gregory's letting us know that it is 92 degrees in Santa Barbara. You're finally one of us. I saw that California was having some sort of crazy heat wave. I did see that San Francisco, at least up until whenever the last time I looked, like a day or two ago, was somehow not affected by it. But yeah, I did see that California is really getting it right now. I hope you have decent access to air conditioning. Sebastian's here, hello. Gregory's asking about the baby shower gifts. Well, I'll let Lisa share some in the chat. But some of the most important stuff, my mom got the baby a pizza onesie. And there were many keepsake type things, including a memory book that will be very meaningful to us, a stroller, and lots of things for the baby to play with or in. Very excited to see all this stuff come together. So it is very hot and I would say humid, but at least where I am right now there is a breeze. So as some of you may know, we love walking the waterfront, but the east side is littered with detours. So we may switch to a different avenue for a bit, and then further down, we'll see how we're feeling if we want to go back to the waterfront, TBD. But right now, between like 70 and 30, sorry, like 70th Street and 30th Street, not exact, but thereabouts, it's kind of a mess. So here's the first sign. So Esplanade closed at 114th Street and at 73rd Street. So we'll go to 73rd. We're going to take the next pedestrian walkway. And then we'll see what inspires us. Matilda's here. So we are on the East River Esplanade. This is the East River. And we're facing, the camera right now is facing Roosevelt Island. We are on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in the East 70s, facing, walking south. Don't really have a plan today. We're just gonna wander and see what inspires us along the way. Lisa shares bathtub, swing, bouncer, books, teethers, baby monitor. Baby is loved. Baby is indeed loved. Mini bagel. And so is Mama Bear. It was fun to see all the family. And we obviously are very grateful for the kindnesses that they did. It's always helpful to know that there is a small village behind you, since we have no idea what we're doing and what we're getting ourselves into. Vinny's here. Good to see you, Vinny. Recent subscriber, thank you for subscribing. So we're doing a little live walk today. Right now on the East River, but there's a detour up ahead, so we're gonna hop on to this overpass and see where that takes us next. We were talking about this on a recent live stream where I was walking on the west side. The west side is, well, let me step back. So the entire island is surrounded by greenway, but the east side is not in as good repair. And that's sort of why there are so many detours right now. They are working on it. And in fact, there were parts of the east side that didn't have a greenway that they're adding finally. But it just takes a long time. So if you want to walk the greenway on the east side, you just have to be prepared. You have to do lots of detours to get around it. Thierry's here. Good to see you. Sue Kay's here. Dizzy Matt is here. So many friendly faces. Sue Kay says village is a good thing, yeah. Indeed, it may prove to be essential. All right, so we're gonna hop up here. I do know that where we're walking now, we're gonna run into the Cherokee Apartments, which are super beautiful. And one of the odd, random streets of Manhattan, which is mostly in a grid, Cherokee Place, which is a cool name. Beneath us is the FDR, incredibly noisy. Oh, there's a nice pool over here opened. People must be enjoying the last weeks of summer. Sue Kay asked what the bridge was up ahead. That was the Queensboro Ed Koch Bridge, also known as the 59th Street Bridge. So it's the Queensboro Bridge, it's the Ed Koch Bridge, it's the 59th Street Bridge. I don't know if there's any other bridge with so many names as that one. Kathy says lots of concrete. Yep. Lots of development here. Show you some of the, what would I say, the brickwork on these buildings. The apartments over here are beautiful. And it reminds me a little tiny bit of like Soho and stuff because of all the firescapes and the metalwork. Really cool, really beautiful up here. So again, this is one of the random little streets in Manhattan that kind of falls a little bit off the grid, this Cherokee Place. And these right here are the Cherokee Apartments. I'll try to remember, maybe Lisa can help me remember. I'll put a link somewhere in the comments of the description. The history of the Cherokee Apartments is really interesting. I think it was for like tuberculosis patients, if I remember correctly, something to that effect, which is why they all have balconies. And I love those sky bridges. So there must be some cool stuff on the roof. Maybe there's a terrace up there. But it's a super beautiful apartment building. Ice Cream Man probably doing gangbusters today. It is hotter than you think. We lucked out a little bit weather-wise. I have a walk, recorded walk I'll post this week from Park Avenue, and it was like 73 or 74 degrees in the middle of the day. But I guess the heat came back for one last hurrah, and it is like 86, 87 today. So I guess we're gonna walk over to, York Avenue or go see what's going on over there. Now at East 76th Street, that was John Jay Park, John Jay House across the street. Love hearing the classic Ice Cream Man tunes. Gregory's order is a vanilla ice cream cone. Vinny asks, what's my favorite borough? Well, we live in Manhattan and spend most of our time here, so it's the one I'm most familiar with. My small claim to fame is I have walked every street in Manhattan, and in fact, I have a playlist of videos of every street in Manhattan. So, that's kind of the default. We do spend some time in Brooklyn, and I've been taking the Staten Island ferry more and more because I think the views are spectacular both directions. I've spent relatively less time in Queens and the Bronx, so those are two that I need to spend more time in and learn more about. And even within Manhattan, it's like, what's your favorite neighborhood? And it's, there's so many, and they're all amazing for different reasons. Different history, architecture, people, music, food, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we try not to choose too much. Adam says, yes, don't let the overcast skies fool you. It is warm. It is warm. And it's humid today. I was really hoping that was starting to go away. But I guess we may have some rain in our future, and I know some folks want that. And it's been keeping our city, the occasional rain has been keeping the park super green, so we'll take it. Vinny says, we're always welcome in Staten Island. Thank you. Well, Vinny, maybe you're familiar. So I remember, I haven't done this in a long time, but it used to be that on Friday nights you could go to catch one of the minor league games, and they used to do fireworks. Are they still doing that? I would love to know. I want to do that again sometime. Kathy says, wish you could enter some green area. So we offered, as an option, Central Park. We were denied. The crowd chose the east side, so we're probably not going to see a lot of green today, to be honest. We may see more water again when we get farther south. But except for some areas like this apartment complex has a little bit of green space, and there will be some parks along the way. It's not going to be our greenest walk, I'll be honest. Crossing the streets. No cars. Gregory says the Cloisters is one of his favorite places in New York City. Yeah, it's been a little... I love the Cloisters. So for those who aren't familiar, if you know the Met, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, obviously the main location is on 5th Avenue in Central Park at, 82nd Street? The Cloisters is their medieval collection, all the way at the top of Manhattan. And it's literally, it's like a castle. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. I mean, I have some videos from there. If you search my old videos, just search for Cloisters or Fort Tryon is the park it's in. But the thing with the Cloisters is there's a decent amount of walking, stairs, etc. So with Lisa right now, hasn't been high on our list, unfortunately. But I hope to get back there at some point. I mean, I really love the Cloisters. The collection's amazing. It doesn't feel like Manhattan at all. Vinny confirms Staten Island Yankees usually do some fireworks. So I gotta just check out the schedule and stuff. It's been a long time since I've done that. If I'm a little slower today, it's the heat. Okay. It's not even like so hot, it's just this humidity is really getting me. Whew. You know, when the air just feels a little thicker. Yeah. Adam says, definitely a holiday weekend. Yeah, it's definitely not as busy this weekend. You know, some New Yorkers went to the Hamptons or traveled wherever they travel. I always tell people this is one of the best weekends to stay in the city because you can get any restaurant reservation you want. So there is another, we could go back to the Greenway now. This is 71st Street. But we would have to get off in a mile. So I think what we're going to do is we'll continue on Sutton, York Avenue and Sutton Place. We'll go to First Avenue. We'll check out the United Nations headquarters. It's been a minute since we've done that. And then the next entrance to the Greenway is at 37th Street. So we're at 70. We'll take Sutton and York to 53rd, where they end. And then we'll walk First Avenue for a mile. And then we will get back on the Greenway at 37th Street. And we will see how far we get. Parth is here, good to see you. I saw some chats earlier. Sue K says, ice cream truck reminded her of a great episode of Street Foods from the Netflix that was set in New York. Great food, great people. Oh, we'll have to check that out. That sounds great. We've mentioned before, Lisa and I have been watching the Great British Baking Show on Netflix. There's just so many shows. So much content, so little time. Adam says that New York City summer air so thick you might as well be swimming in it. Yeah, that's what it feels like today. Every now and then a breeze comes through and it feels so good. Let us hope for more breeze. So obviously huge medical center over here. And up next is the Rockefeller University. And Lisa and I know somebody who studied there. Complicated science stuff that I could not even begin to explain. But helping to make the world a better place. Ooh, these shady areas when there's a little breeze. I'll take more of that, please. So at the very beginning, I started by Gracie Mansion, which is where the mayor lives. There's a ferry stop up there. I thought about taking the ferry today, but the boats were completely full. I was hoping that because, I mean, I know it's a holiday weekend, but because the city in general is a little quieter, but not the New York City ferry. Parth asks how summer's going. Well, it's beautiful, and I thought it was coming to an end, but today is definitely a summer day. Hot, hot, hot. I think everybody's ready for a new season. The gates here at the Rockefeller University, it's all beautiful over here. The campus, one day I'll have to take a tour of the campus. It's so beautiful. Tiny bit secluded. Gregory says, love when Mary Berry says something is scrummy. What was the word Lisa was asking about recently? Stodgy. I think it was stodgy. You never want your food by the judges to be described as stodgy. Big pink apartment complex over here. Always catches my eye. Parth says, be happy if we visit India. Yeah. We went to the India Day parade recently here, which was a lot of fun. And we were talking about our favorite Indian restaurants here in New York and London. And I know both Lisa and I would love to visit India one day. It's definitely on our list. Gregory says no soggy bottoms on the Great British Baking Show. It is funny that they have like a whole way of speaking and a vocabulary that's like very funny. Like what we would just call like a standard cake, like a birthday cake or something. they call it tray bake, and I've never, except for like icebox cake or something, I've never heard a tray bake. And obviously biscuits, all sorts of little differences. And some of the contestants are just hilarious. They have such unique personalities, as do we all. Incredible as always. I love walking in this city. Parth watched the whole live India parade. It was fun. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, we had a blast at that one. And I think I saw Walks and Cameras here. Good to see you. Welcome. 86 degrees Fahrenheit here in New York. And I'm on the hunt for shade and breezes. But Lisa told me in no uncertain terms that I must walk the east side. It was her command. So here we are. Gregory says he's been to India and Pakistan several times, and they were among the best trips he's ever taken. Wow. Yeah, I'd really love to go sometime. Only part of Asia I've been is China, and I've been to Shanghai twice, which was totally fascinating. And I'm glad I got to do that. Okay, so we're going to try to cross without getting hit by a car. We have successfully made it. So again, we're about to walk under the Ed Koch Queensboro 59th Street Bridge. And you might have seen it. The Roosevelt Island tramway runs alongside it. And if anybody's on who's familiar, one of the trams, maybe one of the trams or one of the sides of the tramway has been under repair. So it's partly why I haven't really been to Roosevelt Island recently, is that the tram has been kind of screwed up. And if anybody knows if that's been fixed or knows when it will be fixed and could let me know, I'm very curious. Okay, don't see anybody coming. So there's a bunch of parks over here. This is called 24 Sycamores Park. That's a great name. Box and Camera says Sri Lanka's pretty cool. Yeah, would love to check out Sri Lanka. Heard good things. I mean, definitely want one day to spend more time in Asia. Must be some tennis courts back there. Seeing everybody has been inspired by Serena Williams. So much tennis activity. I'll point the camera over here for a second so you can see 432 Park Avenue and the many buildings of Billionaires Row. Vinny says, thanks to Lisa, East Side is his favorite part of Manhattan. That's cool to know. Any parts in particular? There's another view of 432 Park Avenue popping out. Parthas Avenger Street. So, real or just made up? So, I guess there's a few things. Give you guys a view of the bridge. So there's a few things. Some real, some fake. So there's the Dr. Strange house, And I forget the numbers, but it's a Bleecker Street address. The address is real, the building is not. And I guess the address comes from some Marvel writers in the 60s used to live there. But the Doctor Strange building does not exist. And then there's the Stark building, also doesn't exist. I forget what he calls it, like Stark Tower or something, I don't know. Does not exist. Then there was the Stark Expo in like Iron Man 2 or something. We'll walk down here for a second because there's great views of the bridge. So Stark Expo, obviously not a real thing, but the World's Fairgrounds still exist. Dutch was just there, and the US Open is taking place there. So on the former grounds of it's like the 39 World's Fair, something like that. So check out this view. So this is called Sutton Place Park. But I love this view. So again, that's the Ed Koch, Queensboro, 59th Street Bridge. And alongside it runs the Roosevelt Island Tramway, which is really fun. It's only like, I don't know, 10 minutes long, but you get these really fun views. That's Roosevelt Island across the water. Vinny says, favorite spots, Little Italy or St. Mark's Place. Yeah, Lisa and I have lunched at St. Mark's Place a decent amount, actually. There's a Mamoon's falafel over there. We love that spot. And then farther east is a little spot called Electric Burrito, which is like, oh, Gregory. Electric Burrito is like San Diego style burritos, so, you know, where they have like French fries in them. Love St. Mark's Place. And we love Little Italy. I haven't done a lot of walking in Little Italy recently, so that'll be on my list. I really like walking over there during winter because the lights, I don't know, it's really nice at night, and when there's snow and stuff, it just looks really beautiful over there. So does Chinatown with the lanterns. So I'm sure we'll be spending more time down there in the coming months. Parth asks if we've ever visited Madison Square Garden for a wrestling event. No, never have. Would be interesting. I don't think I've ever been to a wrestling show, to be honest. It's not really my thing, but it would be interesting to see, you know, once and experience it. I'm trying to remember. Lisa and I did go to what's the last thing we did there? I think we went to a hockey game years ago. It's been a while. Gregory asks, isn't the San Gennaro Festival coming soon? That's a good, yeah, if anybody wants to let me know in the chat when that is, I will definitely be checking that out. So the San Gennaro Festival is one of the big festivals in Little Italy. They do street fairs, they do some, what would you say, like some religious demonstrations, festivities. And when Little Italy does a street fair, the smell of the food is unbelievable. So good. So in a couple blocks, I was mentioning there's all these detours on the Greenway, and that there were patches of the Greenway that weren't connected, but we're about to see some of the construction that they've been doing to connect the east side. And let me tell you, I've been waiting years and years for this to happen. and it's finally coming together. I'm really excited for this. September 15th for San Gennaro. Oh, can't wait. That'll be fun. So we'll definitely do some, either we'll do live or we'll record it, which reminds me, so tomorrow I guess is Jover, and a ton of festivities in Brooklyn. I have not decided yet whether I'll do it live or whether I'll record. I plan to go. I just haven't decided whether to do it live or record it. There's expected to be like record numbers of people, which is a vote against doing it live just because the connection I anticipate will be awful. So I'm thinking I may just record it, but it'll be kind of a game time decision, so TBD tomorrow. But stay tuned for that. So really beautiful over here. So here's some of the construction that they're doing to the concrete across over the water is going to be the walking space. And so right now there isn't any walking path over there. So I'm like super excited for that to come together. Like I've said, you can walk the entire west side from top to bottom with basically no interruptions. And in general, the construction's pretty good. Like the quality of the walk is pretty good. There's lots of dedicated bike lanes. Like it's altogether just a pretty good experience. And that's currently not really the case on the east side. So I'm really excited for them to fix this up. Oh, we have some, I think, additional confirmation. Okay, so it is September 15 to 21, Little Italy. Okay, cool. Maybe there's another one in the like the Bronx, Little Italy, Scott, which is another fun spot that we haven't done enough. I don't know that we've ever actually recorded a video at the Bronx, Little Italy. We've eaten up there, and we have been to the botanical garden some number of times. You want some good food, the Bronx, Little Italy is a lot of fun. So yeah, like I said, the east side, a lot of detours. So we've made it to 53rd Street. You have to walk over to First Avenue to continue. Walking by. If I were mayor, I would get rid of the garbage bags on the sidewalk. So we're going to walk over to First Avenue and we'll walk, bless you, we will walk towards the United Nations headquarters. Go check that out, and then we'll head back to the Greenway. Oh, we have Wiki Lisa with us. The feast celebrates the life of San Gennaro of Naples, who was Bishop of Benevento, Italy, and was martyred in 305 AD. That'll be a lot of fun to go to. All right, so now we are on First Avenue. Like I said, up next, the United Nations. There's a couple interesting small streets over here. Beekman and Mitchell Place. Some beautiful, and what I imagine are incredibly expensive townhouses and apartments around it. Again, we've walked there a couple times, either in lives or in other videos, so feel free to check that out. Gonna keep power walking south. But Beekman and Mitchell are pretty interesting. Beautiful architecture over there. As they say, how the other half lives. Cosmo's here. Good to see you, Cosmo. Asked if I'm going to the 6th Avenue Fair today. Probably not today. I saw that there were some folks covering that earlier. I do love a good street fair. And there's another, the Washington Square Park Art Fair is happening, which is always fun to see. But I decided to do my own thing today. It's so hot, so I wanted to try something different. I wanted to be by the water. So we're gonna go check out the United Nations, and then we will walk back over to the Greenway, and we'll be on along the East River. Always good to see you, Cosmo. All right, so we've made it to 49th Street, and the United Nations will begin to come into frame. Victory's here. Good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, wow. Check this out. I'm just going to pause here for a second. Sometimes you get stopped in your tracks, huh? How beautiful is that? Incredible view of the Chrysler. Gorgeous. Let me know in the chat if you prefer the Empire or the Chrysler building. But wow, that was a great view. Ooh, the wind is back, feels good. It's so quiet here all of a sudden. Point the camera to the UN campus so you guys can see there's lots of statues and stuff. Sue K says Chrysler is so beautiful, but she thinks the Empire might be more iconic. Gregory says both the Empire and the Chrysler are magnificent monuments of New York City. Yeah, they're both really beautiful. Really beautiful. Hard to pick. Hard to choose. Always fun how the Empire State Building gets lit up, and then this year, when the new seasons of Stranger Things came out, they did a projected light show onto the Empire State Building with like literal animations. That was really cool. And Lisa and I were running all over the city to try to get different shots of it. That was a lot of fun. Gregory asked, have I ever been inside the UN? Would love to see a Security Council meeting. So I think I did like a small tour at one point, but this would have been so long ago, I barely remember. So that's on my list one day. If you've ever seen, there's the Nicole Kidman movie, The Interpreter. They got, and I guess the backstory is they promised some of the delegates got to be in the movie, like as, background actors and stuff. They got rare access to United Nations to film in there. Whoa, Robert Flynn. Maybe you've told us this before. I have to commit this to memory. You said got married on the 55th floor 12 years ago. Well, I'm a little jealous. That's very cool. That is really cool. So are you planning on your visit? Are you going to do, they offer like sunrise observation deck views. We almost did that for Lisa's birthday, but we did the edge instead. I guess the concern, it was pretty expensive, and I guess the concern was like if the weather didn't work out, we'd be like really disappointed. And we ended up loving the edge. And part of the fun of the edge is you can see the Empire State Building. Scott Briggs was in there once. School tour in 1981. Wow. Guided tour. Yeah, I would love to. I'll have one day on my list. And we have been talking recently about the visiting the Statue of Liberty, and I did look it up. And so you can get to the island, and you can tour the pedestal. But it sounds like either between COVID and security that I guess the pedestal is as far as you can go, which is fun. I mean, it's cool to be on the island. You can get really spectacular pictures, obviously, of the statue up close. But it looks like, at least right now, there's no crown access or anything. So another view of Chrysler, and in our immediate, right in front of us, is Tudor City, a historical set of apartment buildings, which are really beautiful, but for the most part, exceedingly small. Gregory says, Wallace K. Harrison designed the UN, also designed the Met Opera House and Rockefeller Apartments on West 54th Street. That's cool. Who was the architect? Because I thought it was, let me know in the chat if you know the architect. The name, I'm blanking. "1954 Yankees, hello, good to see you, good afternoon." We're doing a little east side walk today. So I'm going to turn left up ahead a little bit, and we're going to go back to the Greenway. I don't know that I'm ever going to put this on video, but I'm happy to tell you guys about it. At Bellevue, which is a hospital, there's a sobriety garden, and it is open to the public. You can go there. I know folks in the neighborhood who work in the neighborhood have lunch there and so forth, so it's not like you can't go there. I just think if there's patients and stuff, I don't want to film around there. But if you Google the sobriety garden at Bellevue, it's like one of the most beautiful, interesting, secret little spots. Like, if you didn't work around there, I think you really wouldn't necessarily have any idea that it was there. And you do have to kind of sneak around the hospital to get there, get to it. So Google the Bellevue Hospital Sobriety Garden. And there was this controversy recently because they literally wanted to pave over it to build a parking lot. And of course, this upset everybody, rightfully so. Why don't we go this way today? We always go the other way. So thankfully, at least for now, last time I checked, it's been saved. And if you are familiar with this channel, the idea of building one more parking lot in this city might make my head explode. All right, so like I said, love walking the waterfront. One of my favorite things to do. But on the east side, it's not so easy. And so you can see in the frame, at the moment, this is the end of this section of the Greenway. It just stops, just ends in a fence. And so I guess for a long time, you know, because the UN, security and all this stuff, I guess, you know, ostensibly that was some part of the reason of why the Greenway didn't go around it, which of course never made sense because you can drive your car, you know, underneath the UN effectively. And I don't understand how that's less of a safety issue. Oh, I guess the reason we don't walk over here is there's no sidewalk here. Whoops. Guess I'll be going back, but before we do that, let me show you the Pepsi sign over in Long Island City. Oh, is there really no sidewalk? Kind of screwed myself up over here. That sucks. All right, just wanted to show you guys the Pepsi Cola sign. And then I have to walk back. Well, I guess there's a reason I never walk this way. Whoops. All right, back we go. The scenic route. That's so stupid. Oh, I love the FDR. So if I remember correctly, I think it's Con Ed that owns this land. And obviously all the buildings who currently have great views would hate to see it get developed. But as you can imagine, that must be some of the most valuable real estate in the city, and it's just sitting there, which is unbelievable. Hard to believe. Lisa's laughing at me. Rightfully so. Thank you, my dear. I almost never take shortcuts because I do like the scenic route. And the one time I do, silly me. Getting our cardio. Back we go. So the main path to the Greenway over here is 37th Street. And I will admit it's a little weird because it goes underneath the FDR. It's not as well lit as it could be. Yeah, Scott Briggs, that's exactly right. Paved paradise. Put up a parking lot. Yeah, so if anybody, there's sites called like Vanishing New York, and there's like New York history sites. If anybody finds like a solid, reliable link about the sobriety garden that has pictures, feel free to add that link to the chat. It is really beautiful. Oh, I added Instagram, so maybe I do have some still pictures from it, so maybe I'll add a picture later if I remember. But yeah, I probably won't videotape there. I just don't know that feels right to me. So when we do go left, there is a 34th Street ferry stop, so we'll get to see that. I'm waiting to start getting referral checks from the New York City ferry. I feel like I'm their biggest cheerleader. No cars coming. No shortcuts for us today. We're going to go straight to 37th Street. Or no shortcuts anymore, I should say. Learned our lesson. Walks in camera, Le Corbusier. Yeah, that's, I guess, what I was thinking. And Niemeyer also. I think it was Le Corbusier that I was thinking of. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation on that, but I think that's what I had in my head somewhere. So before we turn, let me get us one more shot. So we saw Chrysler. Here is Empire. They are both really beautiful. Oh, we are blessed. Amazing architecture and history. I try to steer clear of most political topics, but one of them right now that is really driving me crazy, that's reminded by this the topic of the sobriety garden that could possibly be replaced by a parking lot. I mean, just like how stupid. Right now, because of from home, and flexibility. Right now, there's like a massive glut of commercial real estate. Or put another way, in real estate terms, I guess, vacancies in commercial real estate are at an all-time high. And at at Penn Station, the governor wants to add tons of office buildings as part of redeveloping the Penn Station area. And all of this is happening at the same time that we have a rent price crisis where rents are too damn high. And there's just no discussion right now of doing things that would add residential real estate that could possibly lower prices. So I think you can understand what side of this issue I'm on. But I find it insane that we would add additional commercial real estate when there's vacancies are at an all-time high and when there's a residential housing crisis in the city. End rant. I will not be taking questions at this time. So this is the 34th Street, New York City ferry stop on the east side. Last Friday we were at Midtown West, and there's a New York City ferry stop there now where you can hop on and go to either Battery Park City, which is beautiful, and the views of Lower Manhattan and World Trade Center are really spectacular. Sorry, noise. Lots of hospitals over here, so lots of ambulances and stuff. And then you can also take that ferry, the same ferry. The next stop is Staten Island, so Vinny. And we just did we did that whole ride. It was beautiful. And then to return to Manhattan, I took the Staten Island ferry. That's hoping I have some anti-smog masks walking there. It is a little, what can I say? Like, it's not as clear out today, is it? Adam says those commercial space landlords can get massive tax breaks for keeping them empty for years. I mean, I don't understand it at all. Like how, I mean, I'm sure that's a big part of it. I'm sure they do have big time horizons, and it's really hard for them to believe, like, philosophically, that work from home is here to stay forever. But it just seems like so ludicrous to me that at the moment, if you could flood the market with anything, it would be residential, that you would possibly flood it with commercial. It just doesn't, it takes a different sort of person than me to understand that. I do not understand that. I must not be smart enough. So this is the Children's Hospital over here, and there's this beautiful sculpture Dalmatian with a New York City taxi cab on top of it. Always fun to see. And you hope that it brings a tiny, tiny bit of whimsy to somebody who's going to the Children's Hospital. There's a heliport over here, so you do sometimes see helicopters coming in. If we see one coming, we will film it. If you've been on my walks on the west side, I'm sure you're thinking, wow, the west side sure is a lot more beautiful. For the waterfront walks, at least. It's so silly over here. On my list to read or listen to the biography of Robert Moses, so I can understand how we ended up in this with this as our waterfront. There's the New York water taxi, which I think the only reason I've ever been on was that you used to take it to go to IKEA in Red Hook. I don't think I've ever been on it for any other reason. I forget the name, but I love those kind of Jenga looking apartments in Long Island City. They're really interesting. Must be weird with those overhangs. We've been spending a little more time in Long Island City because the views over there they have great waterfront. And at night, there's all sorts of, music, food trucks come out, the ice cream trucks come out. And you can catch great sunsets over there, so add that to the list. Long Island City. Really beautiful over here when you get the water. A little noisy from the FDR though, if you ask me. Adam says it's so wild to see the Long Island City skyline come up so quickly because it used to be like Williamsburg, all warehouses and industrial. Yeah, no, it's totally changed. I remember, when some of those big glass apartment buildings started to go up, but yeah, it's like a whole skyline now. It's like busy now. But it's really easy to get to by subway. Lots of restaurants now. I mean, it's a good comparison, like Williamsburg. That's a very good comparison. Okay, so you can sort of see Bellevue over here. And if you see on the sort of bottom left of the screen where there's trees and stuff, that's like the area where that garden I was mentioning is, kind of back there, I think. I know, Adam, I'm encroaching on Gabe's territory right now. This is where, like, whereabouts Gabe kind of ends his stream sometimes. Kind of creepy, huh? How funny would that be if I ran into him? Vinny says, new to the channel, but I gotta say your etiquette and conversations are impressive. Well, thank you. We've been doing recorded videos for a couple of years now, and then over the past year or so, I've started to do more live streams. It's been a lot of fun. And for context, I've been in New York for about 18 years now. So I like to think I, at least have a decent amount of exposure to the city at this point. And it's fun to experience everybody's kind of shared appreciation for it. It is funny though, there's like, I'm familiar with a decent number of New York City YouTube personalities, and it's so fun. Everybody's personality is like so different and unique. And Adam just mentioned Gabe, the walking commuter. He and I have a shared enthusiasm for technology, and I'm hoping that at some point we'll do a collaboration of sorts, because I really want to geek out with him on cameras, and I think we get a lot of questions about cameras and the technology that goes into this. And I met him in person recently after a stream, so I wasn't on the camera or anything, but I got to see his setup up close and personal. And all I could say is the things he does to get you guys a great stream. Very impressive. So it's always funny when you see, this is like, I think I've been told this is actually some of the cheapest parking in Manhattan because it's kind of a little out of the way. So tenant parking, $300 a month. But you can see parking garages in Manhattan that are, you know, 500 plus a month. Absolutely crazy. This is why I am a public transit aficionado. I'll stick to my $127 unlimited subway card. Oh, but Adam, the other one I was just thinking about was Ange, Yo Ange. She's so funny. She and Joe, her husband. And one of the things they do, at Lisa and I have never done, but they like take you guys to restaurants and stuff, and they're eating dinner with everybody. Oh, I think that's so funny. I love it. And they're such characters. So it's a fun little community. Adam says, Gabe goes north here, I'm going south. He goes in the morning, I'm in there in the evening. I know. We're two ships passing in the night. So we're in the Peter Cooper Stuytown area. Beautiful apartments. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what was happening at the Jacob Riis Apartments, which is New York City public housing. And they found arsenic in the water, and I really hope they get that fixed ASAP. I mean, there's always been issues with the buildings in terms of keeping them repaired and so on, and that's just horrible. So everybody email their New York reps and let them know that that is unacceptable. Yeah, I was talking to Adam. Adam really knows the hotel and restaurant scene in New York. And I'm encouraging him. I think if he did like streams from various New York City bars, hotel bars in particular. I wonder, Adam, if you have any idea how many kind of high-end hotel bars you think there are in the city. I mean, there must be a ton. So you could actually do a fair number without ever repeating yourself. And I think there'd be a pretty good audience for that. I'd be an audience member at least. All right, we will try to safely cross the street here. Kind of hate it over here with all the construction, but we will figure it out. Okay, I think we got our lights. One more detour and then we're back in action. Ooh, it's getting a little hot when you're in the sun. I prefer the shade today. Really prefer the shade today. Kath says we have a pleasant voice. Well, thank you very much. And I'm only sorry Lisa couldn't be with me, but so my wife Lisa does join some of our live streams, but very, very pregnant right now. And walking for two is, especially when it's 85 degrees, not so easy. But make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in this stuff. And hit the notification bell because we've been doing a lot of kind of impromptu streams. And one of the ones that we have vaguely planned is to do like a tour bus ride. So we're just, going to find a good day, a nice weather day. I like Lisa's emoji work. The blue sign there is another ferry stop up ahead. I think it's like the Stuyvesant Cove stop, something like that. And he says, congratulations, we appreciate that greatly. We're very excited. I'm a nervous wreck. The good news is we're already getting practice with never sleeping because the little one is incredibly active already. Wakes Lisa up every hour. So if it sounds like I'm losing my marbles, that's probably why. I think if Lisa, I don't know how you would accomplish this in a way that was whatever, but if Lisa ever did a live stream series, it would be some sort of like top 10 list of like acceptable public restrooms in New York City. Like shout outs to restaurants with good ones or bookstores or whatever, and then shaming all the bad ones. I think there would be a real audience for that as well. Up ahead, Alphabet City, the lettered avenues of the East Village, A, B, C, D, and the Con Edison station. And Adam, it looks like there's at least a couple viewers of the restaurant and bar live stream idea. I like this idea of like really nice hotel bars. You know, get to know the bartender. What are the house cocktails that they're known for? And then obviously trying them out. Okay, how do we get here? There's a lot of weird construction going on right now. Taza's here. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. All right, I think there's at least one vote for the restroom reviews. Public restrooms in New York City. So if you wanted my list of things I get cranky about, it's making walking and biking easier and safer. That's probably number one. Number two, we have to get garbage off of the sidewalk and into containers. And then number three would be significantly better public restrooms. There's like an Instagram account, because of how bad it is, that kind of tells people where to find good public restrooms. It's insane in a city like this that such a thing would have to exist. Lisa's is probably a similar list, but possibly reversed. She can let me know in the chat. Like I said, there's the New York City ferry stop here. I think it's the Stuyvesant Cove stop. Love the New York City ferry. $2.75 a person. At some point it's going to go up to $4, but it's still a good deal even at that price. And it's such a fun way to see the city. Lisa shares the Instagram Got to Go NYC. That's a clever name, but ridiculous that such a thing has to exist. We don't see this all the time. It's more on the east side than the west side, I guess. But you can fish the waters in New York City. There are lists public, if you Google it, that tell you which fish you should or should not eat. Well, I guess they wouldn't say should, but which you can or cannot eat because of heavy metals and stuff. Unrelated, but just reminded by the word heavy metal. Did anybody see the Tyler Hawkins tribute concert with the Foo Fighters? I was seeing that clip of his son Shane, who served as the final drummer. Holy cow, that was powerful. Well, thank you everybody for all the kind wishes. Yeah, no, I mean, it's can't believe it. Getting closer and closer, so it's an October due date. We're both thrilled. Did the baby shower yesterday. Very exciting time. I am eager to get to go on walks with the little dude, and we are always talking about getting to take him places, Central Park, the zoos, gardens. It's really exciting. / terrifying. Vinny asks, what's my alternative? So, for trash in the streets. Yeah, so the problem in New York is, you know how, so I guess it's twofold. So there's one is inertia. New York is just, it's really hard to change things. And then the second is parking. So the way other cities do it is you put really large containers in the street. And you do this for a couple reasons. One, you don't then have all the garbage bags everywhere. And you, hopefully if designed appropriately, you help to attack the rat problem. I'm not saying that's easy, but that's the idea. And then the way it works to save money is the trucks are able to navigate the streets and in a more technologically supported fashion empty the containers. But for the reasons I described, not wanting, it's really hard to change things here. And number two, the parking problem, which is nobody wants to get rid of parking. Any parking. I don't mean like we'd get rid of all parking, but you take one space away, entire neighborhoods kick and scream. It makes the idea very unlikely anytime soon. But it's one of those things that if I snapped my fingers and it happened, you'd be like, how did we ever live any other way? And an example of this is my wife and I, my mom is in town, we all went to dinner one night, we took the bus. And when we got off the bus, we couldn't get out because there were garbage bags blocking where we needed to get out. And there's nothing you could, it was just like, you can't, we had to slow everything down, we had to stop everything, go the other way. I mean, it was just a pain, and it's not clean, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't have all the answers, but that's what I would do if I could snap my fingers and make it so. But when you travel to other cities, you'll recognize, just nobody else does it this way. So I love the waterfront, but this is another part. So if you go on Google Maps, you can find this spot, and it's called like the Path Narrows or something. and they really need to widen this part. You're getting all my crankiest things today. I wasn't intending on a cranky stream. Yeah, Vinny says he agrees. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's one of those things I just don't understand because it seems so obvious, and it just feels like inertia. You know, we've just done something one way for so many decades. It's hard to come up with a better explanation than that. But I'll give you a data point. So my mom this morning sent me an article from the New York Times about outdoor dining in New York City. And as you can imagine, based on everything else I've said today, I'm a gigantic fan of outdoor dining. I think it's materially improved the city, and without it, a lot of the restaurants would have gone out of business for two reasons. One, when indoor stuff wasn't really happening, you know, they needed it. And then number two, they've expanded their restaurants in ways that the only alternative would be to raise prices on customers to such a degree that, you know, nobody wants that. But here's the data point. So in New York City, and I think this is all 5 boroughs, there are 3 million parking spaces. 3 million. Huge number of parking spaces. At its height, something like 12,000 restaurants had outdoor dining spaces. Not all of them used the street, etc. So call it something like 10,000 maybe parking spaces were taken out of 3 million so that restaurants could do outdoor dining. And the uproar by a pretty small number of people, but a very vocal number of people about those spaces being taken. Again, I mean, I'm not gonna do the math right now, but 10,000 out of 3 million, it's nothing. But it's the same, we would see the same pushback to do garbage collection differently. So that's the problem, or that's one of the problems. This is cool. So there's like I don't know if it's birthday parties or just, kind of looks like birthday parties. That's cool. Doing some barbecues out here. Got the live music out, got the DJ. Got the gelato guy selling some ice cream. Love it. Beautiful Labor Day weekend outside in the park. Adam says, Gabe used to go this way to get to Chinatown. Oh, that's cool. I love it over here. So we talked about this on the west side in Nelson Rockefeller Park in Battery Park City. It's going to get closed for like years, like multiple years, to do some hurricane resiliency work. And the same thing is going to happen here. Up ahead, we'll see it. And it's super, super, super controversial because the neighborhood, you know, when you're told you're going to lose your park for multiple years, really upset a lot of people. Though I can understand also wanting to protect the people's buildings from flooding and stuff. Complicated city full of complicated political issues. Curious what you guys think. Well, Vinny asked about the homeless situation. That's a really hard one. What I can say very briefly, because I really don't know the answers, Vinny. Some things are above my pay grade. is for a while we were using empty hotels, you know, because people weren't traveling here. And there's a lot of folks don't want to use the shelter system. Safety reasons, and a host of reasons why they don't always want to do that. And when we were using the hotels, folks had privacy, their own spaces, stability, you know, and obviously the, what's the word I would want to use? The, I guess respect, maybe? I don't know if that's the right word, but sort of the respect of having their own space, their own private space. And I thought that was a really powerful thing to do. But it's been unwound and, you know, but like I said, that one's way above my pay grade. I don't know the answer to that one. But I thought that the efforts that were going on seemed to me like they were steps in the right direction. But super complicated issues. And if there were easy answers, they'd all be solved. So as we walk up ahead, starting to see the BMW, although we're seeing it in reverse, the WMB. The BMW refers to the Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Williamsburg bridges. And I did a long walk recently where I walked every single one of them in one go. Which at my pace takes about 2.5 hours. But I've always wanted to do that. I'd only ever walked the Brooklyn Bridge and had always wanted to walk the Manhattan and the Williamsburg bridges. So check that out. I called it like 3 Bridges tour, something like that. That was really fun. There's this is something Gabe and I sort of joked about, but maybe not joke. He did the Great Saunter once, which is walking the entire perimeter of the island in one continuous walk, which is about 32 miles. I've only ever done it in pieces. He's done it in one go, which I'm super impressed by, and he was able to stream it, which I was really impressed by. There's another walk called the Great Bridges Walk, which is similarly like 30-something miles, and goes over like 20 of the bridges into and out of Manhattan. So maybe one day in winter when it cools off, it's another thing I would love to possibly collaborate with Gabe on. Andrew asked, how many kilometers do we walk in a day? Well, I'm terrible with kilometers. So it's the funny thing, I don't walk every day, but when I walk something like 8 to 10 miles. I do long walks. I love long walks. And on a really good day, like if we're really going nuts, you know, might do like 12 to 14, but the average is more like 8 to 10. So if you can convert that to kilometers, 8 to 10 miles in kilometers. Yeah, Vinny mentions that the shelters are horrible. I mean, I've volunteered in a bunch of them, and it's zero disrespect to the people who work at them and to the concept itself, because they're doing the best that they can. And I know they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't believe in it. But I think group housing it's not really what a lot of people are looking for. There's real safety issues. You know, you have to give up many of your possessions, you know? So, you know, I look for things that are maybe a little different than that. Adam says, looks like we have some blue sky now. Gloria's here, checking out our channel for the first time. Very good to see you. Yeah, it was supposed to rain today, but it's turned out pretty well. And I'm really starting to get a breeze now, so I'm loving this. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of this path. So I mentioned that they're doing construction down here. So we're about to go do our next detour. I'll have to title this video the East River Detours. Instead of the East River Tour, it's the East River Detour. Ha 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 ha. The people who heard me laughing to myself probably think I'm insane. Gita asks if we'll be checking out the Indian Day Parade. Excuse me, the West Indian Day Parade. Yeah, I was mentioning this earlier. I haven't decided yet if we'll do live or if I'll record it. I do plan to go. The issue is I expect it's going to be incredibly busy. And when it's really, really, really busy, the streaming is just really hard. It's just a bad experience because it buffers and cuts in and out. And if I don't think it's going to be a great experience, it's kind of annoying to like set that up and then get interrupted. So TBD. We will be there, or we plan to be there, weather permitting. And either we'll be live or later in the week we'll have video. Stay tuned. But I've never been, so I'd really like to check it out. I know this whole weekend they've been doing events, like I think starting on Friday there was like a junior parade. And Lisa and I have been kind of learning a little bit about it. Like reading about, this is not going to be the right word, but I understand that like at the parade there's sort of archetypes or characters representing some of the history. It sounded just super interesting. So definitely plan to check it out some fashion. Oh guys, let me tell you, so it's starting to get very hot over here. I've lost my breeze. So we have to cross this bridge and detour along the FDR. This is Houston Street. Hi, sorry. Is it okay if I walk on your left?
Oh, no problem.
Excuse me. Like I said, it's really beautiful over here, but you have to be prepared for all these detours, which is kind of a pain. Lisa says to hydrate. We will hydrate. We're feeling good so far. The breeze for a while has been pretty good. There's just a little bit of sun now. Okay, 3 cars coming, and then we should be able to go. So this is the Houston overpass. Looks like Houston, sounds like Houston. Ooh, okay. Crossing. Chili Pill saying remembers the BMW. Yeah, I was just talking about it. I did a recorded walk of the bridges. So if you're interested, feel free to check that out. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yep. Traffic jam on the side streets of the FDR. And one day, hope to do the Great Bridges tour. Possibly even with Gabe, that would be really cool. So last time I did this walk, so maybe like a month ago. Well, I guess it probably was more like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago. I did a series of videos on the East River. And the first video I did was I tried to walk the East River portion of the Greenway. And I'm trying to remember where the detour up ahead is. There's a park up ahead, and it's somewhere, I think it's like after the park. Andrew asks, what is my favorite car? I'm laughing because I'm more of a public transportation kind of guy. Subway car? Does that count? Or is that cheating? You can see the New York City subway on the bridge. Gloria says she's going to check out our video. Stay safe. Have a nice holiday. Same to you. Appreciate you. So above us is the Williamsburg Bridge, which when you're on the inside in the walking path is surrounded by this like pink painted metal. The bridge itself is gray, but inside it's like this pink tinker toy structure. Really funny looking. And then the Manhattan Bridge is interesting. It's you know, it's a little more narrow, so it's not as nice as some bridges to walk. And it's got fencing along the side, but what's interesting is photographers have cut some holes in some of the parts of the fence. And if you bring your camera and you find the spots in the fence where they cut holes, you get photos of like the World Trade Center and stuff, and it's so beautiful. So a little tougher to walk, but you get that payoff from those pictures. So this is Delancey Street. If you're familiar with the Lower East Side, I immediately start thinking of the Lower East Side and like kind of Jewish American history, the delis and all that stuff. But it has changed a lot, as you can imagine. Why is Lisa always slamming her head at things I say? Too many detours. All right, so up next, you know where you turn in actually is where, if anybody's familiar with the interactive Van Gogh exhibit, I think there were two. There was one on the east side, one on the west side. I think the next place we turn is where the east side one was. That'll get us back to the water. Some of these buildings over here are really, like, look at the landscaping and stuff, really beautiful. Oh, Lisa liked my subway car joke. She probably said, "There he goes, baby. He's trying to be funny again." That's your dad, trying to be funny. Let me know if I got that quote right. All right, just keeping an eye on the battery. We're doing pretty well. I'm hopeful that we'll make it at least to Pier 17. Love it over there. When we did the Staten Island Ferry the other night, we saw that the Pier 17 was all lit up. And so walked over there at night and it was beautiful. And we often mention good pizza on this channel and where to find it. And near the seaport, near Pier 17, recently opened a Manhattan outpost of DeFara, which, if you're familiar with New York City pizza, is one of the most historic pizza spots in the entire city, where you would have, 2-3 hour waits to get your pizza. And now there's one in Manhattan. But I haven't tried it yet, so I can't speak to the quality yet. Unfortunately, the pizzaiolo, the pizza chef, Dom DeMarco, passed away not too long ago. Very sad. He was beloved for his, what would you call it? His kind of dedication to the craft, Any other person in the world, when they got the lines he got, and people would wait hours, they would have done anything to speed him up, and get more business. And he just was stubbornly committed to the craft. A beautiful thing. Lisa probably remembers we did a pilgrimage to DeFara once. We did the wait. She was not very pleased with me at the whole idea of it. But you'll have to say in the chat, Lisa, whether you thought it was worthwhile. I think it was. Beautiful parks over here. This is Corlear's Hook, which normally we would go in, and there's some cool stuff in there, but there's lots of construction going on. So we're just going to go around it today. Head back over to the water near, I don't know if it's still there, but near where the Vincent van Gogh interactive thing was. Lisa and I did that months ago. It's part of her birthday. I guess it was last year, probably. It was super fun. That was really cool. We love museums and stuff, so it was cool to see them take art you're familiar with, and they added music and animation and all this stuff. It was really cool. Lisa remembers, but she did not, you will notice. She was not specific about whether she loved it or not, or whether she thought it was worth it. There's another ferry stop over here. Must be the Corlear's Hook ferry stop. And if anybody knows in the chat how long the East River Park will be closed, like, is it 2023, 24, 25? Let me know. I'm very curious. Lisa says months ago equals 13 months ago. Sometimes I lose track of time. What is time? Sally's here. Good to see you, Sally. Nice person letting us go. All right. There's the M in BMW, the Manhattan Bridge up ahead. It's got the light blue line across it. And we're starting to see the beautiful lower Manhattan skyline along with Dumbo down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. Gonna get really beautiful over here real fast. So there's Pier 36. That's what I was describing, was the location of the interactive Van Gogh exhibit. I think it closed, so I'm curious what's there now. It was so funny, for months, if you were anywhere around here, you would see tourists carrying their Van Gogh posters, and they were very obvious what they were. And just for months, you could spot people who went. So once we get to Pier 36, we'll walk across the street over there. We'll be back by the water. Which will be nice. We'll get a good view of the Manhattan Bridge. And my goal, like I said, is to get to Pier 17. So we're at Pier 36. My goal at this point is to get to Pier 17. Unfortunately, I would have loved to walk one of the bridges, but the battery's already too far gone for that. So at this point, the goal is just Pier 17. And if not, if we don't make it there, we'll just have a good view of the Brooklyn Bridge. So fingers crossed, everybody. It's so funny, if you've been on the stream for a while now, just how much the city changes as you go. So we've gone from the really residential Upper East Side, kind of big, tall apartment buildings. And then once you get to Midtown, it's like office towers, the UN. And then when you get to the Village, well, then there's the hospital systems for a while. And then you get to the Village and there's like Stuyvesant Town and Peter Cooper or so. Trying to think of a different word than iconic, but a very familiar view. And then down here it starts to change completely as you get into lower Manhattan. Chill Pill said the circular buildings on the right looked good. Yeah, let me, I'll try to get you another view of that because I agree, that was pretty cool. I'm gonna walk back a second, we'll cross the street on the other side. We'll be safe. Okay. Yeah, let me get you another view of that. I thought that, I agree, that's a really cool looking building. That's, the street there is called Governor Slip. So Governor spelled the old-timey way. There's some U's in there, like G-O-U-V, Governor. And I think at the end it's like E-U-R. And it's slip in the maritime sense. So there used to be piers and, the port down here. So if you look up, like on Google Maps, Street View, Governor Slip, and FDR Drive. I don't know the apartment number of that building, but you should be able to figure out what the apartment number is, and we could try to figure out more about it. Yeah, and Montgomery Street, yeah. That's the area for sure, Ambrose. Good to see you, Ambrose. So I was asking Dutch about this, so he calls this the Prince's Purple Rain Highway, and I guess it was painted purple. I think he said it was like a traffic calming effort by the Department of Transportation. I don't know that it works as a traffic calming effect, but it is look pretty cool. Yeah, CDD, I try to call it the major ones for sure. But if I ever miss something, just let me know and I'll try to get us back up to speed. So we're on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Some of the streets around here, Clinton Street, Montgomery Street, Jackson Street, South Street. For those who kind of know this area a little bit, you might be familiar with the South Street Seaport. Above us is FDR. And then when we get back towards the water, we will have views of the Manhattan Bridge. And we're going to start to have views of the Brooklyn Bridge. CDD says, heard round buildings are former insane asylums. I don't know that they're always that in particular, because there's one on the Upper West Side, Central Park West, that was a cancer hospital. So I think they may be medical. Which I guess I've never put that thought together in my head, but now that you say it, I think I have noticed some round buildings that had medical history. But if you look, the one up on the Upper West Side, the New York, it's called like the New York Cancer Hospital, Central Park West. It got converted into apartments as well, I think. Or is it a church? I forget. But it's a really beautiful building. More ice cream if anybody wants. Look at this view as we come onto the bridge. Come up to the bridge. Beautiful. So we are back on the East River Greenway, also known as the East River Esplanade. In the distance is Pier 17, which is where I'm hoping we'll finish up. I think we're doing okay on battery now to get there. So this is the Manhattan Bridge. We saw earlier the Williamsburg. This is the Manhattan, which you can recognize by the blue color. Across the water is Dumbo, Brooklyn. which stands for the Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass. And you can see Jane's Carousel. Let me try to get a shot of that for you guys. And you can in fact even see it moving. That's cool. So there are folks riding Jane's Carousel today. These bridges are so magnificent. So this is the Lower East Side, but as the city becomes totally overrun with like marketing slogans, some folks now call it Two Bridges. Every neighborhood has to have a special name now. I think the Manhattan Bridge is beautiful. I mean, my favorite is the Brooklyn Bridge, but the Manhattan Bridge is really... Googled it, the building was the first public hospital. Whoa, that's cool. It is crazy how much history we learn along the way. So there's a skate park over there. So behind the first, I don't know what you call that, support structure there. Behind the first support structure there is a skate park. And on the other side of it is one of my favorite streets in the city, Mechanics Alley, which is just like, I don't know, maybe 2 blocks long. I love these. There's a handful of like what you'd sort of call marginal streets. And for some reason, New York has sort of, maybe it's from movies or something. I think most people think New York has alleys and stuff. And we really only have a handful. And back there is a street called Mechanics Alley, and it's just a fascinating looking street attached to the bridge. I have a video of that from a long time ago, but an interesting one. Our next bridge is the Brooklyn Bridge coming up next. Ambrose gives us the deets. 455 Central Park West condo, so it is a condo now. Used to be the New York Cancer Hospital. All right, well, we got that part right. It's a beautiful building if you've never seen it, and it does have that round red brick. I mean, it looks very much like the one we just passed in some ways. Ambrose, thank you for digging that up. How are you doing? Gosh, I don't know if it's coming across on the camera, but above the Manhattan Tower on the Brooklyn Bridge is these sunbursts coming from the clouds. It's really beautiful looking. Christians here mentions Philly has more alleyways. Yeah, I don't know what the thing is. Like, maybe it's from movies or something, but I think people have this impression that there's all these alleys in New York. And even in Lower Manhattan, I can think of like 3, maybe. There's a couple in Tribeca. And I think it is that they're like on Law and Order and on some movies, you know, from time to time, but they're not really representative of New York City. It's always so weird down here with the purple. It's just so odd. So if anybody's curious, my watch says, and let's see, I'm trying to figure out, can you guys let me know? Oh no, there it is. Okay, so my watch matches. So we're at 2 hours, 10 minutes. We've been going 19-minute miles, 6.73 miles. Not super fast. But we'll finish at about 7 miles when we get to the pier. Ambrose says it comes from Batman and Bruce Wayne. That's probably right. It's probably some Gotham thing. I always think it's so funny when people bring out like a full speaker, not just like a little Bluetooth speaker, but like a 1.5 foot tall speaker or 2 foot tall speaker. Funny. So there's Pier 17 just behind Brooklyn Bridge. Chill Pill says, love how people are hanging out and chilling by the river. Lots of people fishing today. Lots of people chilling. It's warm, but down here, because you have the FDR above you, it blocks the sun, so you get shade. It is pretty hot today, though. It's in like the mid 80s, and it is awfully humid. But I think my sense is that folks who stayed in town are just trying to soak in the last of summer. Must take advantage as long as we can. All right, we're gonna try to walk over here without hitting a bike. And to the left of us, you can see the water starting to crash into the roadway. Oh, if we're lucky, the rooftop at Pier 17 might be open and we might be able to go get a view from the rooftop. So that's what we'll try to do. Every time I've been recently, it's been closed for concerts and stuff. But fingers crossed. In the Staten Island video, we took the ferry at night, and so it was super dark out, and the entire Pier 17 building was lit up green, totally glowing. It was so cool. Let me find a good spot and I'll get you guys a view of the Brooklyn Bridge from down here. So right now we are underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm going to try to do this without getting covered in East River water. So we are underneath the bridge as we speak. And then near us, oh, sorry. Oh, for some reason there's a piano there. And tons of geese. Check that out. But definitely my favorite bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge. Lisa says, on September 22nd, Law & Order premieres with a historic three-way crossover event. What does that mean, three-way crossover? Is it like the different Law & Order shows like coming together, like SVU and something else, or is it, or something else? Let me know. All right, we're gonna live dangerously and we're gonna go in the wet part. This is probably a stupid choice. Very dramatic clouds today. I'm going to walk on this side so I can show you the new Defara location. All right, folks, well, we have made it. So let's walk around, we'll walk a little bit of the seaport. I'll have to turn the phone off soon because I'm going to run out of juice, but we'll get a few minutes of the seaport. So there's the Defara. Super famous New York City pizza from Brooklyn. It's its first location, as far as I know, in Manhattan. Lots of interesting historic buildings around here as part of the seaport. So I mentioned earlier Governor Slip. This is Peck Slip. Chillpill says bridge with an interesting story. Not only that, it's super interesting history. I always recommend, if you've never seen it, there's one of those Ken Burns documentaries. Either, it's one of his first, if not the first, was the Brooklyn Bridge. And in general, the credit for the bridge goes to the Roeblings, father and son, but it was the son's wife, Emily, after the father died during the construction and then the son got gravely ill during the construction. It was the son's wife, Emily, who helped finish the bridge. And there is one plaque on the bridge dedicated to Emily, but we always consider it Emily's Bridge. Without her, it wouldn't be there. It's also interesting because it's there was so much corruption and graft and all sorts of stuff in the construction of it. It's just funny. Lots of taverns, restaurants, and bars down here. There's a bookstore up ahead. There's lots of cool stuff down here. So this is, again, the South Street Seaport. Coming up on Beekman Street. And right now we're walking along Front Street. I'm going to make a right here and show you guys there's the Titanic park up ahead. Let's go take a look at that. And then we'll walk down the main, most familiar part of the seaport. Diana's here, good to see you. Oh, and you can see the municipal building. You can see peeking out over there. That's pretty cool. A lot of great views down here once you get to lower Manhattan. So we're going to take a quick look at Titanic Memorial Park. Then we'll walk down the main strip of the seaport, and then we'll go finish with a view near Pier 17. If I can go up, we'll go up. Otherwise, we'll see what we can get. So this is Titanic Memorial Park. There's an interesting little walk. You can walk through the buildings over here. The seaport is really beautiful. All these hundreds-year-old buildings, small streets. And it's a little hard to see from here, but over on the next street over, I think is where, if I remember correctly, Thomas Edison had one of the first power plants, and there's a plaque over there. Memo's here. Cheers from Mexico. Good to see you. Cheers to Mexico, all the way from New York. So this is the South Street Seaport. Lots of bars. There's an iPic movie theater, which is one of those fancy seating, and you can order food, you know, like full meals to your seat. Julia notices we've been walking for 2 hours, yeah. When in Rome. Some folks are playing Jenga at the bar. On the right here, McNally Jackson Books. My wife loves a good bookstore, and Funny Face Bakery, which claims to have New York City's best cookie. My wife, at my request, it was my birthday recently, got me my favorite New York City cookies, which are Jacques Torres cookies. Which, if you've never had them, I obviously recommend you check them out. Walk over to Pier 17, and I'm going to see if we can get on the rooftop. Sue K wonders where in Mexico. That's a good question. Oh, and it looks like there's a little street fair here at Pier 17. We came a few months ago, and there was an ice cream social here. Oh, it looks like they're doing lobster rolls and stuff. I don't know if Adam is still on, but we took my mom to Mark's off Madison, which is a restaurant recommendation, and she got the lobster roll there and loved it. She spoke very highly of it. It was a lobster roll on homemade challah. Because if you've never been to Mark's off Madison, it's some weird combination, and I mean that in the best way possible, of like Jewish and Italian cuisine, but then they also have lobster rolls, but it's on challah. I love it. It's this charming mix of New York City vibes. All right, the escalator's working, so we're gonna see if we can get to the greens, which is the rooftop, if it buffers. If it buffers, I apologize. Patrick is here. Good to see you, Patrick. Oh, and now we're down to 7% battery, so we're probably gonna run out of juice soon. So I'm hopeful we'll get to the rooftop, and we'll have a goodbye view of the Brooklyn Bridge. little bit of a maze in here, but it does have air conditioning, which feels glorious. So, the rooftop is called the Greens, and there are some sections that are kind of restaurant, and you have to get seating, and you know, you can buy drinks and food and stuff, but there are also public areas